Dame Ethel Smyth was a person and a composer, and she had things to say as a person and a composer.
She wrote the anthem that helped British women win the vote in 1918, 100 years ago today. Though Ethel Smyth was in fact a serious and prolific composer, she was known at the time in Britain mostly as a radical activist and an unapologetic lesbian. She had grand passions for a number of women, including the suffragist leader Emmeline Pankhurst, with whom she was arrested for smashing politicians' windows. As a group of their supporters sang and marched beneath the prison wall, Dame Ethel conducted them through the bars of her cell with a toothbrush. Born into a well-off military family, getting her strict father, a commander in the British artillery, to allow her to study composition in Germany was the first of many battles she waged and won in the pursuit of her passion. In Leipzig, she met and mixed with the young musical luminaries of the time who took her composing seriously. It was through them that she met the librettist, poet, and author Henry Bennett Brewster, who became her best friend, her soulmate, and, some say, even her lover. With Dame Ethel, he wrote the libretto to her opera Der Wald, The Forest, which was performed at the old Metropolitan Opera House in 1903. Smyth was the first woman composer ever presented at the Met, and she remained the last until 2016. The New York Times called the opera a novelty. Critics in Britain belittled her work, but audiences everywhere loved it. Underperformed, but undeterred, Dame Ethel went on to compose over 200 works, operas, symphonies, concertos, dozens of lieder, string quartets, and masses. Her last major work, before she lost her hearing, which ended her musical career, was a choral symphony called The Prison.
This is from The Prison by Dame Ethel Smyth. This is a particularly melodious passage that I really love. One of the things I love about this passage is the text that Dame Ethel's soulmate, Harry Brewster, wrote for her when they were both quite a bit younger. He really understood her gift. I think she understood her own gift. And he wrote this text for her saying, one day you're going to do it. You're going to be able to say what you have to say. Also, she had a very strong personality. She was very smart, and she was very, even though I think rather conservatively brought up, she was very much a woman of the world in her imagination and perspective at a time when I think England was quite inward-looking, and she really had to create opportunities for herself to live the life she wanted to live, to be the person she wanted to be, and to give expression to the voice that she knew was in herself.
As the soprano soloist in The Prison, I have the honor of singing the soul. So it's a conversation between the prisoner and the soul, and as the soprano, I get to answer his questions, and I get to be this calm, serene voice that guides him through a really dark period. I've learned a lot about Dame Ethel Smyth since taking on this project, and she is a fascinating woman. About 100 years ago, she's dealing with women's rights, her place as a female composer in a man's world, and it has been fascinating to learn more about her story. She is a hero, and it so relates to the present day things we're going through with the Me Too movement and this sort of reckoning that we're having. I mean, it's interesting that she was having to deal with problems that women are still having to deal with today by being rejected and by being judged. Her music was judged very harshly as over masculine, and she is a perfect example of the nevertheless she persisted, because she had a lot working against her, and yet she created all this beautiful music and had a career as a woman in the arts, which is still difficult today. So she's kind of a hero.
I was browsing at the Lincoln Center Library for the Performing Arts, as I used to do copiously, looking for repertoire that I didn't know, about 25 years ago in the early 1990s. And I saw a book on the shelf, Mass in D, Smyth, on the spine. I picked it up, and the opening of the Kyrie is amazing. I looked at this music, I thought, what is this? But I started looking into who the composer was and discovered this was Ethel Smyth, who I had never heard of. So after I was appointed music director of the Cecilia Chorus of New York, I reminded myself that on my to-do list in life was to give Dame Ethel a hearing in New York City. So in conversation with the Cecilia Chorus, we decided to give the New York premiere of her Mass in D, which we did in 2013, at Carnegie Hall, Dame Ethel, at Carnegie Hall, which you deserve. At that concert, Liz Wood, who is a biographer of Dame Ethel, she attended, and she gave me, as a memento, a vocal score to The Prison, which I didn't know about at all. I opened it and read through it, and also read the poem, which is amazing, and thought, here we go again, I want to do this piece. I really want to do more of Dame Ethel. In another context, I had done a version with piano and could feel in that chamber situation what the piece could be in another grand garb in Carnegie Hall. So again, with the Cecilia Chorus of New York, decided that now was the time for The Prison. The piece is really about telling the truth. The prison is a lie. A lie is a prison. By telling the truth, you get out of prison. What could be more timely than that?